Welcome to the On the Ropes Wrestling Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Ray Dunmire, Oscar Rendon, and Tim Ross.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 35th episode of On the Ropes Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Oscar Rendon, and tonight I'm riding solo. No Tim, no Ray. It's just me alone here in the studio. It's kind of cold, it's kind of chilly, but I'll make do without. Guys, the road to NatsuCon is almost over because tonight in Collinsville, Illinois, at the Gateway Center, we have Dynamo Pro Wrestling action that we'll be covering here at OnTheRopesNetwork.com. So make sure to tune in later at OnTheRopesNetwork.com for all the full coverage of Dynamo Pro Wrestling's event here in NatsuCon. We're excited to be here. It is going to be an amazing show. And just to read off the lineup of matches that we have going on, we have Ricky Cruz taking on Mojo McQueen. I mean, Ricky Cruz, obviously a legend here in St. Louis, making his name here in St. Louis, and we're just so glad to have him on the show and coming back. We got the D1 champion, Outcast, defending his championship against Jesus Bryce. I've never heard of this Jesus Bryce guy, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a tough opponent. Outcast has been defending the D1 championship in Dynamo Pro since its inception. He has been undefeated ever since holding the title, and it's been since January. So guys, you guys are in for a treat with these matches. Then we got Brandon Espinoza versus Mason Conrad, and then we got Angelina Love, TNA Knockout, Angelina Love versus Monica Passeri on the card. Make sure to catch women's action. The women are taking over, guys. That's just a fact. Next, we have the main event. Mike Outlaw versus Ring of Honor's Delirious. Guys, this is a show you don't want to miss, so get your tickets. Get your tickets now before they're gone. Now, before we start the show, we're going to play some music from a local band here in the Midwest known as Ashland. This is their current single, Eyes to the Sky. So guys, enjoy.
Fade
Alright, everybody, you just heard Ashland with Eyes to the Sky, their current single out now. You can purchase it on iTunes or go to their website, ashlandofficial.com, get your own copy, hard copy, of course. Amazing band. Very excited to see them again live. They're an amazing live act. You guys have to check them out. Make sure to buy their EP, their current EP, Interim, which has great music on it, and they're currently working on their full-length album, which will be out this fall. But if you guys want to check them out live, you can do so. August 6th, Saturday, August 6th, at Pops here in Sauget, Illinois. $8 in advance and $12 at the doors. Doors open at 6:30. They're also going to be playing along with Discrepancies, Inner Outline, Apollo's Daughter, and Forgetting January. So guys, make sure to get your tickets now. These are amazing bands. Make sure to support independent musicians, independent music, local musicians, local music. Guys, this is how they make their bread and butter. So make sure you go and check them out. Now, moving on with the show, we have a very special guest, as you may have seen from the title. You may have seen her in TNA. You may have seen her in Ring of Honor. You might have seen her in an episode or two of NXT, WWE NXT, on the WWE Network. Guys, we have Deonna Purrazzo on the line, and we are excited to chat with her. And without further ado, I present to you guys Deonna Purrazzo.
Hey, this is Deonna.
Hey, Deonna, this is Oscar, and I'm sitting here with Ray. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
We're doing great. So welcome to the show, On the Ropes. We're so happy to have you.
I'm good, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so great. We're thankful that that we were able to get you on the show. We've been trying. Look, we've been getting a lot of responses on Twitter on who we should have on the show, and you were one of the big names that people wanted to hear.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much.
So first of all, I just want to ask, Deonna Purrazzo, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Perfect, because I know sometimes I think people mispronounce it and they go Purrazzo, or does that bother you sometimes, just the pronunciation of your name? Do you have to correct people?
Yeah, I've come across that a lot, like more recently, and I've stopped correcting people only because, no one will just say it right, so whatever you call me.
Perfect. And so, I want to start from not the beginning, but when did you know that you wanted to be a professional wrestler?
I was 9, and I sat down one night. I was actually, banned from the TV for misbehaving, and my brother was watching Monday Night Raw, and I saw Stone Cold hit someone with a steel chair, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? Who would let someone do that to them? I had no idea what it was. And I had seen it a few times prior, but I never really had my attention caught like that. And I was hooked right from there. I was 9, and I told my parents, hey, I want to be a professional wrestler. So that's how it started.
So what was their reaction? Because I feel like if I was 9 and I told my parents that, they would just kind of push it off and be like, oh, you'll grow out of that.
That's basically what it was. My mom was like, oh, okay, we'll see when you're older. And I never grew out of it. It never stopped being the thing that I wanted to do. So there was a local school that took 15-year-olds with the parents' signature.
Uh-huh.
And when I turned 15, I was like, please. And it was only maybe 40 minutes from my house. I said, you can drive me, even if it's one day a week. Whatever, please. And I begged, and they were just like, no. And my mom said, when you're 18 and you can afford the tuition and you can pay for it and get yourself there, then if that's something you want to do, go for it. So that's exactly what happened. When I turned 18 and I graduated high school, I signed up.
Okay, so where did you start training at?
I started training at V2W, Professional Wrestling Academy in Morton, New Jersey.
And who was your teacher that kind of started training you and, teaching you the ropes, so to speak?
Yeah, so the owner, Jersey Devil, he was there quite a bit, and then the head trainer was Damian Adams, alongside Sean Bennett, and Robbie E.
It's awesome. And so, how old were you when you started training? 18, 19, or 20?
I was 18. I turned 18 that June, and then I started training in December.
And so, how, like, for people who don't understand wrestling and, like, all the amount of, like, work before you even get to have your first match, like, what was it like your very first day of training?
It was me and Sean Bennett and this one other guy named Travis, who was like 300 pounds. And I walked in the first day, and I was like, oh, God, like, it's just me and the guys. And they taught me how to bump. And I remember looking at Sean when he told me to fall backwards. I was like, I don't want to do that. So that's kind of like a joke to us now. But that was my first day. It was kind of, you stick it out. And I remember they told me we train on Saturday or Sunday mornings one day. I think it was Sunday morning. And, you know, at 9 a.m. So I was like, oh, cool. I'll definitely be here. Like, I love it. You know, I'll be here. And then I didn't get out of bed until, like, Monday morning when I had to go to work.
Oh, wow. And so how long until you actually had your very first match?
It was about a year till I had my first match. So my first match was December 6th of 2013.
And do you remember parts of that match or the whole match? Like how did you feel when you walked out through the curtain and into the ring? Like what were you feeling at that time?
I was super lucky because the girl that I wrestled, we actually had pre-planned the match like a week in advance, just so my family and my friends were coming in. They wanted to make sure I had a really good first showing. So the funny thing is the woman that I wrestled that night actually broke my jaw like a couple months before. She didn't like me. She's bitter. You know, like just a bad attitude. So she didn't like that this new girl was coming up. So for my first match, I wrestled her, and I was actually like super nervous. I think I cried like for 3 to 4 because I just didn't want to do it, and it was even more nerve-wracking having someone who doesn't have your best interest in mind and doesn't want you to have that best showing. So overall, the match actually was pretty good. Thinking about it now, it's not like on videotape or anything like that, but it was a really nerve-wracking experience.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine that. That would be a little nerve-wracking to get into the ring with someone who doesn't really want to be have your best interest. But so recently you've had a lot of great opportunities. What would you say is your favorite opportunity?
I really enjoy everything I've been able to do this far, but my favorite moment was the first time that I wrestled for an hour in front of the brothers. That's kind of his graduation, so to speak. And I was at a seminar he was hosting at NYWC in Long Island, and I wrestled Mike Mondo for 1 hour straight. And that was kind of the best opportunity that I've had, because Damien and I have been able to travel and do that alongside Rip for quite some time now. So to have myself held in that high esteem with Rip is amazing.
And so, I mean, you've wrestled men before, and so like, what would you say are like the differences whenever you get in the ring with a guy rather than a girl?
I don't do a lot of intergender, just because it's not something that I necessarily believe in. But I have been able to do training with all guys for almost 4 years now. I've never really consistently trained as a woman. So I just think it's made me a better person to be able to work with the guys, because I've never been held to a lower standard. When Damien trained me from day one, it was everything that the guys were doing. I was learning how to punch like a guy or throw strikes like a guy. So it was never held against me that I'm a female. So I don't wrestle on shows against men, but I've trained consistently with them for 4 years.
Okay. And so I think one of the ways that we've found out about you is through Ring of Honor, which it has has a great rising women's division, Women of Honor. And you have this one match with Mandy Leon, I want to say around a year ago. I can't remember. but it was this really phenomenal match, and some people say that it was like kind of the start of the women's like Women of Honor division. How does it feel to be a part of that?
It's really cool. It was almost a year ago now. Mandy and I had the first Women of Honor match in nearly 2 years on July 25th. Mandy and I have been friends for a while prior, just through doing WWE extra work. So when we were able to have that match, it was kind of go out there and put on a show and impress Sinclair Broadcasting. So that's really what we had tried to do. And luckily it worked out for us. So to be one of the women that kind of started this and be on the forefront of Women of Honor is really an honor for me.
And so what kind of advice did you get afterwards about just like from some of the other women that have been there longer? Like I know Mischief used to be a part of Ring of Honor. I mean, what's the best advice you've gotten so far?
There wasn't any women other than Mandy and myself wrestling on that show that night. And they also had signed Taylor Hendricks, so she did like a cameo, came down to the ring when the match finished. But the best advice I've gotten in terms of trying to start this division is just to go out there and put on the best show, to be able to give them all that we have and show them why women deserve a spot in Ring of Honor. It's kind of like a taboo thing there, and the crowd doesn't know what to make of it. So it's our job to really push this division and really put it out there and set the bar for what it's going to be in the future.
Yeah, and so now, I mean, women's wrestling has kind of taken over in this past year. And, I mean, obviously, it's taken over from WWE, NXT, Ring of Honor, and TNA. So, like, how does it feel to be, like, in this era of, like, where women's wrestling is, like, taken seriously? Whereas before, it was almost kind of like, as some people would say, like, the bathroom break or the you know, go get a refill or something. Like, how does it feel now to be, like, in the forefront and, like, being taken more serious as professional wrestlers and not just as someone who comes out to the ring to as eye candy?
It's been my goal since I was 9 to be a part of the revolution, so to say, of women's wrestling. And I think the women that have changed the division thus far are women that grew up in that time period that I did. It was the eye candy, it was the Playboy pillow fights, it was the blonde panty matches, and I knew I wouldn't want to be a part of that if I was a wrestler. I wanted to be a wrestler. And even since I was 9, I knew I wanted to go to Japan and I wanted to keep training and do all these things to be the best wrestler that I could be and change that perception of women. So to see that it's something that's accomplished and I have a small part in that, it's really fulfilling and it's really a dream come true of mine.
So, given all of your accomplishments so far, what would you say is next for you?
I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people ask me on Twitter, like, am I signed with NXT? Am I signed with Ring of Honor? Do I sign with TNA? And I'm really fortunate to be the only woman in the world that has worked for all 3 companies in a 3-week time span. So, as long as I get to continue doing that and doing the indie shows, and I have my goal of 100 matches this year, that's what I look forward to the most. I don't have many other goals because I don't want to set them and be disappointed ever in my accomplishments. So for now, what's next is my show this weekend.
And so we know you have a very busy, like, July and August. So, like, and, you know, you're going to have various opponents, but who's been, like, one of your favorite opponents to get in there, whether it was one time or whether you've wrestled them plenty of times? Who's the one person that you feel like when you stepped into the ring, you really learned a lot from them?
I think I learn something new every time I get to step in the ring, but I wrestled with T. James quite a while back. I don't remember, maybe November-ish, and he had a very similar style that I had, and she's trained by Rip as well. So it was kind of just like a moment where we could just be like, hey, this is what we're going to do, but the rest just talk in the ring. And that's kind of how I'm trained, and that's how Rip trains. So that was probably one of my favorite matches. I also really enjoy wrestling a lot of the other trainees that Damien has at our school. Karen Q, who actually just came to NXT with me last week, and she's really starting to get her name out there. She's really, really great. Miranda Vianek, who was originally trained at the Monster Factory, but she's kind of broken out of that mold and trying to create a name for herself on the Indies now, too. So those are also two of my favorite opponents.
Well, are you actually training people now?
I don't actually, I mean, maybe I assist a little bit, but I'm not full-time training. That's Damien's job. That's what he does. That's his specialty. I've been with him for 4 years now, so I kind of can help a little bit more with the new students or explain things in a different way. He was a part of OVW back when it was WWE Developmental, so he's kind of, he knows how things were done that way, and it's still very similar, but I can shed light on the new way things are done across the board, not just with WWE. So he lets me speak a little bit more now, but the main training in-ring stuff is him.
So, out of everywhere that you've been, where is your favorite place to wrestle?
Like I said earlier, I love being able to do everything that I've been able to do. It was always a dream of mine to wrestle for WWE. So, of course, NXT, the first time that I went there last October, and I got to wrestle Nia Jax, to be in that ring was the best part of my wrestling career thus far. But, like I said, I really enjoy being able to do NXT, Ring of Honor, and TNA as one.
Okay, and so we touched upon it a little bit that you're only 22, and so the funny thing is, myself and Ray, we're 22 as well, so we kind of feel like you've accomplished so much already, and so how does it, like, for someone that's still starting, like, I feel like you're so brand new, but you've been around for a while, like, and you have all these years ahead of you, like, how does it feel that at such a young age you've already, like, garnered all this attention and all this buzz? Like, it must have been, like mind-blowing to you.
Yeah, like I said, this is always my goal. This is where I wanted to be. This is the person that I've always wanted to be. So, if you go back in, like, my senior high school yearbook, my goal was to be the women's champion. And if you go back to, like, the beginning of my senior year, I wrote a letter to myself for 4 years later saying, like, I hope you're walking down a WWE ramp or you're doing indie shots. So this is who I am now, is who I've always wanted to be. So it was mind-blowing at first, but now I feel like the same person I was 4 years ago before all of this. But on the other hand, too, like, I'm 22, my friends go out, my friends party, my friends just all graduated college, and I still am, like, not even near graduating college. So while you say, like, oh, you've accomplished so many things, there's so many other things outside of wrestling that I have yet to accomplish that it's a give and a take. So in wrestling, I'm progressing. In other areas, trying to get slack off. But, to each their own, and you're passionate about what you're passionate about. And for me, wrestling was always number one. My body is not going to last forever. I can go to school forever, but I can't wrestle forever. So
very true. So let's take a step outside of the ring for a minute. What are some of your hobbies outside of wrestling?
So I am a preschool teacher. That's my real job. So I absolutely enjoy kids. I love going to work every day with them. I also am, I was a cheerleader in high school, so I'm a big, all-star cheerleading fan. I don't really have any other hobbies besides those. I have a 3-year-old nephew, so I love to see my family, and I have so much enjoyed watching him grow. That's really it. Wrestling is really my life.
Most of the time, that's the common answer that we get is people who are strictly into wrestling, and then that's pretty much all that they focus on, which is a good thing. If that's your career path. You've obviously done a lot so far.
Yeah, I mean, so, like, one of the things that one of the cool things I wanted to ask is because I'm actually myself next year I'm going to start training to be a professional wrestler, and, like, what kind of advice would you give? What kind of advice would you give me if I want, once I start training? Like, what should I look out for?
The best advice that I was ever given was from Pat Kenny, who is part of the team in Creative right now. I did a seminar with him before the first Knockdown pay-per-view that I wrestled for Pat, and that's kind of how I got that spot. But he talked to us about being all in, and if you're not all in, then get out. And I've kind of tried to live by that philosophy. You're going to lose a lot of friends, and you're going to be on your own. You have to rely on yourself, and my best advice is to find one or two other people that you can really rely on and be all in. Give up everything. Dedicate yourself to wrestling, to training, to studying. You can only be in the ring so many hours a week, but how many hours are there in the week that you could be studying? It's so much more outside of the ring where you can, you have the WWE Network now, which is fantastic, and you have YouTube, so you could be watching Mr. Perfect or anything else, whoever your heroes were. I watch a lot of Johnny Saint from Europe and William Regal and Marty Jones, things like that, just so I can learn everything. So that was the best advice that I was ever given that I would give to you. Just be all in. Let everything else go. Let the friends go. Because the ones who matter will stick around. But this has to be your main focus and your main goal.
Yeah, that's definitely excellent advice for Oscar here as he endeavors in the professional wrestling world a little bit more. So, obviously, you've been to NXT, TNA. How many independent shows do you do a year?
Last year, I wrestled 97 times independently. And I have a goal this year of 100 or more. So right now, this year, I've wrestled, this coming match will be 55.
That's it's a lot for, I guess it's halfway through the year, so.
Yeah, it's halfway through the year, so yeah.
That's about right. Yeah, I mean, we'd love to see you in Missouri if you ever get the opportunity, in the middle here.
Yeah. I mean, we've got some pretty great promotions out here. I mean, we have Harley Races,
World League Wrestling,
yeah.
or our very own special Dynamo Pro Wrestling that we work with.
So we'd love to have you out here sometime.
Absolutely. I have just started to travel outside of my comfort zone, wrestling other places. So I'm looking forward to wrestling in some new states and that whole thing in the coming months.
Well, I hope we see you soon.
What area do you wrestle in now, outside of the bigger companies?
Mostly New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, that area, my tri-state. But like I said, I've been wrestling a lot more in Connecticut, Massachusetts. I've traveled a lot to Delaware and Maryland recently. So I was just in Kentucky for a week, and I wrestled in Tennessee and the Carolinas. So I'm just trying to be everywhere.
Which is hard to do. I mean, especially if you have the teaching job and wanting to see family. That's definitely most of the time, I think people don't realize how much of a time commitment wrestling is.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it's not cheap, especially if you want to, continue learning and, going to different schools. But then you also got to think of your day job, because I think people mostly see, the John Cena's, AJ Styles, and they think, oh, that's easy and you get paid a lot of money. Why not do it? Well, they've obviously been in the business long enough and they've paid their dues to get there. So I think if people were to see what it actually...
It's hard because with my real job, I can only take a certain amount of time off. So once I take all that time off, then I'm not getting paid to be there. So it's hard because if I'm traveling and I'm spending money and, a little bit back, I think I paid for my shows, but overall, you lose so much money. So you really need to have people supporting you. My job, 110% supports me. They understand why I'm not there, and my kids understand why I'm not there. So I have a really good position, but for people that aren't in that position and just say, hey, John Cena's a multi-million-dollar athlete, I could do that. It's taken him years to get there.
Yeah.
And when he was first John Cena, ruthless aggression, he wasn't like that. And I'm sure he was in debt, traveling and trying to get to where he is now. So it's more than just I can do that. It's a big commitment outside of the ring.
Definitely. So what do your kids think of of you wrestling?
Oh, they love it.
Well, that's awesome. I think it would be cool to have a wrestling teacher if I was still in school, for one. But
well, yeah, like whenever you like, is it just like a preschool, or is it like a regular school that has preschool? Because like, do other kids like recognize who you are when you're walking down the hall or anything?
So it's actually a private learning center. So it's similar to a daycare setup, but I actually have a curriculum that I teach. So we have like infants to 6-year-olds, and they all know basically. So they'll like YouTube me and stuff, and so their parents and whatever. But yeah, it's not like an actual elementary school that has preschool. It's a private learning center.
okay, so that's cool. That's cool.
I think so. The one thing that is that you're so young, and I know you just said that like you have these goals that like just 100 matches this year, and that you don't want to set up too many goals, but like as a kid, like I imagine that like one of the goals I'm most kids like myself would have is, for you, becoming a women's champion in the WWE or NXT or wherever it is. So what was it like winning your first championship, and where did you win your first championship?
My first championship I won at the Super 8 this past year. So ECWA holds they hold an annual women's Super 8. So it was the second annual tournament, and I wrestled 3 times that night against Miranda Bionette, Brittany Blake, and Tessa Blanchard. And I won that match, and I was super emotional. At the end, you kind of give like a speech at the end, so I cried, and it was a really rewarding moment because I had worked so hard for that, and I had no idea that I was going to win until the first rounds were over, and then they put the second and the third final match up. So it was a really big shock, and in that speech I said, like, women's wrestling wouldn't be possible without the people believing in us right now. So that was the best feeling for me, was that people believe in what women are putting out there now, and we're looked at as wrestlers. We're superstars now. We're not divas. We're not eye candy. We're wrestlers, and that was always my goal. So for a company to think that highly of me is a really incredible feeling.
Yeah, and I mean that's amazing. So besides that, now, I mean, like who's like a dream opponent that you would love to like get in the ring with? Someone, it doesn't matter where, like whether it's somewhere like in your state of New York, New Jersey, or Philadelphia, or maybe someone in Ring of Honor or TNA or WWE. Anyone in particular that you would like absolutely just love to get in the ring with?
Yeah, it's totally probably never possible, but Trish Stratus was my idol, so if I was ever able to wrestle her, that would be my dream match. But also Serena Deeb is someone that I looked up to when I first started training, and Sarah Del Rey as well. So those are kind of like my top 3.
Yeah, I mean those two. I mean you can't beat anyone like those. Like those are some pretty great, wrestlers.
So what is your current thought on the product or the state of WWE right now? So we just had the draft, obviously. New general managers, new commissioners. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a really great thing that they did. They did the draft when I was growing up, and I think they kind of this year tried to make it like the NFL draft and things like that. So I think they really tried to bring realism to it, and I'm really excited for the NXT people that had gotten called up. So I think it's going to change the dynamic of everything, and I think that was the goal. So I'm really happy to see some people that I've gotten to know get those opportunities and really, make the most of it.
Nia Jax being one of them.
Absolutely, yeah. Her and Finn and Alexa and Carmella, like American Alpha, I've gotten to see them for the last year work hard at this, and really create something special at NXT still, to be able to see their dreams come true and, watch them move up, and that's always everyone's goal down there. It's really incredible, and I'm sure it wasn't expected because no one knew, but, for me, I'm just really happy for them, and I think it's going to change not only the main roster, but NXT as well.
One thing that I was kind of surprised about was one person that didn't get drafted being Bayley. It was highly anticipated that this was going to be the final moment, the final icing on the cake, if you will. And it was so big that there was actually rumors that there was a hugger section in the crowd. I think she's going to still do big things in NXT. But that was just my thought on it. Out of everybody.
And we don't know what plans are. We don't know what is to be, happen after SummerSlam or after TakeOver Brooklyn. And, that everything's done with a purpose. So I think that she has more to accomplish where she is now, and maybe it wasn't the right moment. Maybe they're planning something bigger for her. Who knows? But,
definitely.
Who knows?
Yeah. And so as we're winding down here, and we hate to let you go, but we know you're very busy. Is there anything you'd like to tell the fans? Anything that what shows you're doing this upcoming month? Anything like that?
Yeah, this Saturday I'll actually be at ECWA defending the women's championship that I won at the Super 8 against Miranda Zanette. And then next Saturday, on the 30th, I'll be at Northeast Wrestling. They have Kurt Angle and Mick Foley, the Hardys, Ric Flair. It's going to be a really big show in Wappinger Falls, New York. And then that Sunday on the 30th, WWR does a double shot with Beyond Wrestling. And we have our women's show in the afternoon, and then Beyond does their nightly show that Sunday. So that's kind of where I am the rest of the month. That's in Providence, Rhode Island. And then, to the fans, just like I've always said, thank you so much for supporting me and supporting women's wrestling. It's a really great time to be a fan of women's wrestling, and thank you for supporting me.
And so, thank you for being on the show. I mean, we're big fans. We love watching you wrestle. We know that you put 110% every time you go into that ring. We know that all the hard work has paid off. And so we just want to thank you so much for coming on the show. And where can the people find you on social media?
Yeah, on Twitter, I'm at Deonna Purrazzo. And the same thing for Instagram and Facebook. I just post on my Twitter, the Facebook that I accept fans at, and a single moments of the limit, so you can follow me on Facebook. But at Deonna Purrazzo is where everyone can reach me.
All right. Well, thank you again so much, Deonna, for being on the show. It's been a pleasure, and we hope to talk to you soon. Hopefully, Ray and I will make it out to the East Coast for one of your shows, hopefully soon. So thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Deonna Purrazzo on the On the Ropes Wrestling podcast. We were so excited to get her. Unfortunately, Ray had to leave. But, I mean, what a very humble and just all-around good person that she is. I mean, she is going to go places. We know that for sure. She is an amazing talent. I mean, any company would be lucky to have her on any of their shows. And just to remind you that tomorrow night, Saturday, July 23rd, you can see Deonna at ECWA for Summer Splash. She'll be defending her ECWA Women's Championship, so make sure to go and catch her defend her Women's Championship out in ECWA. You can go, let me pull up the information, to Woodbury Heights Community Center on 741 Helen Avenue, Woodbury Heights, New Jersey. Times, so doors open at 6, bell time is 7. Prices for adults are $20, ages 12 and under are only $10. And you can always get more information at www.ecwaprowrestling.com. And make sure to say hi to Deonna Purrazzo if you're out there in the East Coast and you're going to see her July 23rd. She's an amazing talent, and we were so lucky to have her on the show. I wish we could have asked more questions, but I was holding back because I know we want her back on the show real soon, sometime in the near future. And I have more questions, and I wanted to leave it open-ending so we can have more questions to ask. And hopefully we'll even have more questions and some of your Twitter questions, guys. I mean, so thankfully we are on the right path so far with booking our guests. We've been lucky enough to get some responses now, and we are just so happy that you guys are helping us grow this thing that should have never really gotten off its feet, and this took us 2-3 years to really work on, and it's so big now that we're so surprised at just how much we've grown in the past 2-3 years, from just starting out as a podcast, getting on iTunes, getting on SoundCloud, and getting our own website, and now being sponsored and everything. So guys, thank you so much, and thank you to Deonna for some of that advice that she gave me as I next year begin my training to be a professional wrestler. And I mean, I think you guys have heard it here first. I might have mentioned it on Facebook, but you know, it's always been a dream of mine to step foot into the squared circle, and I've accomplished every goal that I've had since I was a kid. So when I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be a screenwriter, and so I wrote my first script. I knew I wanted to make some sort of TV or movie series, and I've done that with Learning to Go, and I've done so much in this past year that I think the only thing left to do, the thing that deserves my focus now, is to kind of prove the doubters wrong, but more importantly, prove to myself that I can do this, that I have the strength and the will to put all my energy and focus on this one thing, and that one thing is professional wrestling, which is why we have this awesome podcast just for you guys, for free on iTunes. You guys can check it out, or you can visit here on the Ropes Wrestling podcast on the OnTheRopesNetwork.com. So guys, please check us out. And again, you can follow me at Oscar Rendon. Oh, whoops, never mind, I forgot. It's at the Oscar Rendon. That's TheOscarRendon, and you can follow Ray Dunmire, Duns the Muns, at DUNSTHEMUNS. And unfortunately, Tim couldn't be here, but he sends his well wishes. He's right now he's kicking himself that he missed the opportunity to speak with the Deonna Purrazzo. And I just said the Deonna Purrazzo, but yes, she is that amazing that she deserves a "the" at the beginning of her name. And guys, what else can I say other than we're gonna be at NatsuCon tonight. Make sure to check us out at our booth on the Ropes Network. We're gonna be heading over to the Dynamo Pro Wrestling event just next door. Make sure to check it out. I mean, again, stat card, we have appearances from Ring of Honor's Delirious, former TNA Knockouts champion Angelina Love, former TNA World Tag Team champion Davey Richards. Guys, check it out. It's going to be a stat card. You're not going to be disappointed. Wrestling, support independent wrestling, support wrestling in general. Guys, thank you so much. And again, to Deonna Purrazzo for coming onto the show. And of course, if you want more information on everything On the Ropes, just visit OnTheRopesNetwork.com, or you can follow us on Twitter at On The Ropes Show, or head over to our Instagram at On The Ropes Show. So guys, thank you so much. From Ray and Tim, I'm Oscar Rendon, and I'll see you guys later.
This has been the On the Ropes Wrestling Podcast. To find out more about the show, check out our website at OnTheRopesNetwork.com. Make sure to like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/OnTheRopesNetwork, and follow us on Twitter at Twitter.com/OnTheRopesShow.